Thank you very much for having me.
Don't thank me yet.
You have the right to silence.
Yeah, I just saw your character expired.
Because it's in a TV. Do you have a single fact to back that up?
You know, this is the one where
You think you're funny?
You understand me?
I think you need to go get a dictionary.
started on me.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I should explain this look.
I just wanted
'Cause
to
it might be slightly distracting.
shock and all of seeing you like this.
So I know you've had to hear this like a bunch of times by this point.
Go
me
on.
just singing the praises of these sunglasses, but you can buy 10 of these. Comes in all the color spectrums.
I was talking about the hat, honestly, but
Oh, well, the hat's just, I've always liked this hat. I dig the style of this hat,
right.
but I haven't been wearing it much lately. And it is winter, so I figured I'd get some use out of it while it's still
Inside.
winter. Because it would break my heart if it started to get warm and I'm like, shit, I never wore that hat.
I never wore the hat inside. I can't believe I've done this to
So
myself.
now it lives in infamy because it is being recorded live.
Okay.
Live on the air.
It's got record live.
So these
Sunglasses
yes.
or glasses? in
I don't
general?
know what the hell the name of them was, but
Glasses.
yeah, if you went on Amazon or whatever and colored glasses, whatever, you'd see them. They're fun to wear
you
because
bought
they
15 of them.
supposedly give you these mood changes. I don't know how long they take to take effect. But what is cool is when I remove them, you see the opposite color of
Ooh.
whatever sunglasses you're
And
wearing.
what is opposite of purple pink?
Of magenta?
Yeah.
Is this like a magenta crimson? We're gonna be
definitely not
fancy
crimson.
fancy art terms.
Would never call that crimson.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell because I feel like at this point it's becoming orange.
What, the glasses?
Yeah,
The glasses are definitely not.
because they're kind of like fucking with my vision sight at this point
Go
because
ahead,
I've
look
had them
dead,
on for so
dead
long.
into your camera.
I've had them on for.
Look dead into your camera.
I probably only had them on for like 15 minutes, but
And your
already
vision's
my
gone.
eyes are just like, this isn't normal. What's happening here? And they're like freaking out trying to adjust. So they're like changing to all these different kind of tropical shades of
Sure.
orange and
This
pink
almost
and
makes no sense, but
peach.
go on.
Well, make what sense you can out of it. But anyway, I don't know. They're cool. This is one of my favorite ones. You got these pink ones, or you got the orange ones. Those are my personal favorites.
Yeah,
Not that those are my favorite colors. Purple's
Purple's your favorite.
purple's number one.
Um,
That purple that leans more towards blue than it does red. That purple.
right. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is on the spectrum.
I mean,
but
I
look at it.
appreciate how you made this wire on the microphone. Made that purple for me.
I didn't make it. I bought it.
It wouldn't surprise me if you built it. You just knew how to build
I don't
a
think I'm
wire.
that good with XLR wire. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll watch a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I give you I see you walk into a room with like a hammer in one hand and a piece of measuring tape in the other, and then who the fuck knows what's going to come out of that door that you just built? Some time machine or a
Yeah, I'm working on the secret project. But honestly, one thing I really want to start getting into, and I almost bought one on Facebook Marketplace, but then I was like, this is a terrible idea, is a 3D printer. I really want a 3D printer.
what would you print with it?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I just have this like thing in the back of my head. It's like when we do films and stuff, there's always like just little things that we could add to the film, like prop wise or
Oh,
like
that's a
little
good
stuff
idea.
wise, where it's like, if we just had this like, it's a sci-fi flick, and if we could just have some futuristic stuff on the belt, it would just like sell the costume better. Just like little stuff like that you could take a couple hours or like a couple days and print just a whole bunch of like these props, or like the 007 mine. Like
Yeah,
how cool would it have been to just print that?
right.
And then all you have to do, is sand it down, paint it,
Yeah.
do what you need to. And then we would have had like a little bit more control over like the product. you know,
Right.
I just think like in my head, there's just something that's just like, yeah, creation, you can do it.
So with 3D printing, like, how far can that go? Like it, when you 3D print something, it's not like it can do these really internal complex mechanisms. Like you couldn't 3D print, say,
Gears.
like you couldn't 3D print a Nintendo 64 game, an actual working Nintendo 64 game,
Well, no, because
because it can't
needs like an
actually.
actual computer chip. You're just printing. You could print like the cartridge, the plastic.
Yeah, that's what I
cartridge.
mean. Like just the appearance of it, but it
Right.
could, like it could never get so sophisticated that you could actually 3D print like a working cartridge of like an old game. Like somehow the 3D printer has the information and the data,
Well,
the
not like
blueprint construction.
when we're talking about 3D printers. I mean, there is like a ton of different types of 3D printers. I'm talking about just like a plastic 3D printer. There are newer 3D printers that do print metal like in like soft metals because
Yeah.
they can heat it up enough, um, which is pretty awesome. I don't. I mean,
That'd be so crazy
depending
if one day
on
that
like
became a thing.
I don't know how like long it would take to get it to a point where like a 3D printer has like plastic it could build from, gold, aluminum,
What if like one day
motherboards.
everything is just 3D printed, like even buildings? Like
Well,
you
there are 3D
like
3D machines that use cement to
yeah,
build
like
things,
imagine it. You're driving to work in
which is
January
cool.
and you see these little boxes moving across the ground.
Right.
And then next month you're driving to work in February, you see now there's like a wall forming or like a what do you call it? The cornerstones of a building being formed. And then by the end of that year, you see like this tall building being formed in these boxes, just kind of like going around it and all through it, navigating around
Right.
like programmed way just to build it and construct it. Because
Let's do it. I'm all for it. I'm all for, and this gets into like a weird conversation where it's like, you know, how many jobs are we going to lose type of thing. But I'm all for like machines and technology giving the average person the ability to do something they couldn't.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like just with like the prop example, it's like a lot of people have like back in the day, think about it in like the 80s or the 90s. How many people do you think had like, you know, the knowledge or access to like understand how to make like any of the props that were being made in Hollywood? I would say very little. The average person would have no way to do it.
Mhm.
Now you could go over to your buddy's house that just got a 3D printer with, you know, on a Black Friday sale, and he can print the same prop that somebody molded in the 80s
Yeah.
for like 3 cents
Mm.
because, you know, the plastic is not that expensive. Like you buy a big spool of plastic, but like the price per part is like
Yeah.
nothing.
You'll go to a trinket store and it'll become like a really big thing. Like, was this actually handcrafted or was it 3D printed? It'll just be like,
You live in such
it'll
this
determine
weird
this big
world.
price difference. Hey, you just
You
jump in
live
a
in
time
this like
machine
everything's gonna be a utopia world
fast
where the
fo-
history is gone.
Do I typically talk about utopia when I'm referring to the future?
Yeah, yes. We were talking about gold today. You're like, oh, one day the world's gonna end and gold's gonna be the only way to get anything.
I'm just saying if shit gets fucked and the whole world is just a complete dystopian mess
Right.
and US currency isn't worth shit, paper money isn't worth shit, you might as well just wipe your ass with it or roll a joint
Right.
with it. It's going to come down to precious metals. Like if you're waiting in line
Yeah.
for food and people are going up, like what are they going to be given out? There's like some kind of currency will develop, and gold is
Well,
still going
yeah.
to be seen as a precious metal. So in
to
that
to
regard,
only those who like know its value. The average person wouldn't care about gold. They'd be caring about surviving.
those
whatever that
rich
means.
folks though, like people that have so much money and wealth and status, like they don't know what to do with themselves other than do drugs and find shiny things to hang around their neck and their wrist. So there's always going to be those people that are going to be accepting of yes, I will buy gold from you.
Sure.
Like if a peasant goes before some fucking scribe or some high priest or something and drops gold before them.
See, I think it'd be more animalistic than that. I think it would like bypass the like structure of like currency to like the people in power got that way because they like slaughtered. And it wasn't because so then they gained power, and then once power was like set up, then sure, maybe gold starts to be reintroduced. But like some random guy that has gold that he bought in 1960 isn't going to be like the most powerful man in the area
Oh, I'm not
because
saying
because
most
he's got
powerful
gold
fucking
at
man.
the soup kitchen. It just doesn't make any sense.
Look, if you're like, there's a bunch of Neanderthals just running around.
They don't care about gold there.
Well, hold on a second. They're like, just think about it. Just get the
I
image in your
am.
head. They're running
Oh,
around.
I
There,
am.
there's like trees and rocks and
Yeah.
logs and
Well,
grass and
that's not-
water and dirt and mud
That's here now.
and
in
like these
today's-
earthy colors all around.
That's you know. If
But
you
then
walk
there's this
outside,
shiny
that's what it looks
thing.
like, right?
What's that? Or no, there's this shiny thing and it's moving across the trees. You're like, what's that? And you see it's just some guy like running holding this gold thing that he just found. What do? You put an arrow in him and you go get, what is this shiny?
For what?
To get the shiny thing.
For what?
To get the shiny thing.
For what?
Because it
purpose?
looks unlike anything else that's in nature because it's rare. There's that R word,
guess.
rare. It's look at it's shiny and it's rare, and it's just naturally, instinctively,
Okay, so
they're like, I
pretend-
want that. I
let's
want that
pretend
shiny
you're
fucking
the guy
thing.
that got the gold. Okay,
Well,
what is it going to get you?
it's going to get me maybe food or shelter or clothing or fucking antlers or a wheel. I don't know.
Antlers?
Deer
what are you
antlers.
talking about?
It'll get me
You
something
can get
useful.
that without gold. You realize this, right?
Look, this is a different world. This is the primal survival world. And antlers, you need knives. So you can either go through all the effort of sharpening it yourself, or you can just get some deer antlers and start stabbing people with that.
Right. You know, like cultures that don't have currencies just trade and they get along just fine.
Trade's good, and gold is one of those things in trade. And you can build things with it too. It's not just a shiny
Okay,
thing
so
people
you're
trade
that
around
guy
because
who
they're
got
coin.
the gold. What are you building with it?
What am I building with the gold?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I don't want to build anything with it.
Oh,
Maybe I want
you
to.
son of a-
Maybe I want to sell it to someone else who can build something with it and give me
Well, what are
something
they
in
gonna
return that
build?
I can actually. Because gold is for somebody else. Like I'm not that. If I'm like, just have the status of like a peasant or something, or just a worker bee, which is basically like almost everybody, probably, like say in ancient Egypt or whatever.
Right, just like today, it's just disguise.
Yeah. And I got some gold. Well, it's like, what am I going to do with it? It's not going to do me any good. I can't I don't have any skills to build anything with it. I don't want to just sit there and look at it all day because that's not going to pay the bills or buy
Right.
me food. So I'm going to figure out what I can get with it that's beneficial to me or my survival party or family or whatever.
Right.
Do we need to have more fucking rice and beans this week, or do we need more
So you go back to your
like
wife
already
and 4
fine
kids,
carved lumber to build
that
her
are
log
starving,
cabin? Do
and
we need
she's
some
like,
fishing gear?
sweetie, did you get the bread? And you're like, I got something better. Gold. Well, kid number 4 is literally dying on the bed, needs food, and you're like, don't worry, I got gold.
That would probably make whatever timeline you're jumping into. If you have some gold with you, it's probably a good thing for you.
Well, I'm just saying, in the world, the utopia that you built, where like everything's just not
What's
normal
with this
anymore.
utopia?
You said it. You're like, there's Neanderthals and cavemen, and one's running through the woods with a shiny object.
So okay,
I just don't get it.
you don't I don't get what you don't get. Like, you don't get
I
why gold.
In
Like,
certain,
do
no,
you
no,
just not like or understand why gold is valuable, or you just wish it
I
wasn't?
understand why
Do you
gold
not
is
like the
valuable.
color?
I'm saying,
Do you wish it was like
if it was
green?
anything but our like modern type society, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And when I say modern society, I mean like 2003, 4,000
Then
years.
why is King Tut's tomb made out of gold? and
That's
why
what I'm
didn't-
saying. I'm saying 3, 4, 5, however long like history. Like, you can't tell me that like cavemen walked out of a cave and they were like, "What am I gonna do today?" gather gold. All right. And they like truck off to get gold rather than eating. Like that,
I don't know what the daily schedule was of a caveman.
it wasn't
I
collecting
don't know what they
gold.
do when they wake up in the morning. If they take a piss first or go look for gold or wood, I don't know.
I don't think it was.
I'm just
look for
saying,
gold.
if you're a fucking caveman and there's some gold, you might go out of your way a little bit to get it because it's
I think
shiny and
those
it's
are the
rare.
cavemen that died.
Maybe
That's
some
all.
did, maybe some didn't. I mean, maybe there wasn't a lot of competition back then. I don't know. But look, like what about the California gold rush? You had like everyone breaking their fucking neck
Right.
and dying
Because by
along the
that-
way just to get to California.
Yeah, by that point, gold literally meant the difference between, a future and possibly not. So by that point, gold was set as like something of value. So that makes sense, 100%.
So like how far back in the, like if we got in a time machine or like, hey, let's pick a year where we think no one will give a fuck about gold. What year would you go to?
I have no idea.
The future or the past? The far, far future? Distant?
I think you could go both ways, and at some point it wouldn't matter because there are other materials other than gold that are more valuable than gold.
Well, sure.
They all don't naturally occur here on Earth. I mean, there's like a meme or an article that went around a while ago talking about a meteor that has some special metal on it that's not native to Earth, or it's like in so low quantity it just doesn't make a difference. But it literally is like like if someone would get that and then sell that metal, it's literally like the entire Earth's economy as a total price 10 times over. So it's a lot of money. Like, so in that case, I just don't, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm kind of like, I love technology and the idea of a future and that type of stuff. I think once we get so far in the future, gold as like this is going to be valuable. It's not going to be like a thing. It's going to be like aluminum where we know what we can use it for. And sure, it's valuable because you can build stuff with it, but it's like, it's like a tool to be, it's like a material that you use to make other things. And that's just all it's going to be.
So you think it'll become just as common and manufactured as aluminum or any other
because
metal?
Aluminum and that type of stuff are more like accessible. Gold in general, I don't think isn't.
So you think it'll like?
I just think it'll become like a tool to build things, not like I need gold for currency type.
But
of
still
thing.
on the upper end of like expensive.
I think at some point it'll
just balance out.
Yeah. Because
I can't really see that happening.
Why not? Because think about every year technology moves forward, prices come down in certain things. Gold is the only thing that's held on for this long as something like, oh, you need this because this will never die. And then at some point, technology will catch up with gold, I think, and then it'll just not be as valuable. But this brings another conversation up.
It's just it's a more rare mineral.
Right. I just don't think it'll be used as like a currency thing. That's all.
Well, I think it. I mean, as long as there's like value in it, it could always be used as some form of currency or trade. And people always love making shiny fucking coins. So
yeah, but they don't use gold.
Continue to make shiny fucking coins.
Yeah, they don't use gold anymore.
Well, there's still gold coins. They still make gold coins. They're just expensive as fuck.
Not currency gold coins.
Well,
America isn't
not going
passing
around in circulation all the time.
America's not passing out gold.
It's not like you go to the fucking Dollar General and like, I'd like to buy some cigarettes and put a fucking gold bullion on the.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to do that. Of course, there's like collector items, stuff like that, but I just don't think. I just think when you look, it would. And I don't mean this like in my lifetime, like it's going to disappear or anything like that. I think it'll take forever. But I just think when you look at technology and like the movement of things It's just at some point, you know, things become less valuable because it comes unnecessary. It's not a necessary thing anymore. It's just like the video we were watching today where it's like, you know, if the dollar fails, what are you gonna like basically like what was the terminology? What are you going to compare, like, you know, the price of something to? Well, it's going to be gold because gold's always been around. Well, all it takes is for like governments or banks or something to say, okay, we're not dealing with gold anymore, and this is the standard, and then gold is nothing.
Well, just because a bank says gold is nothing, like I think the general population is always going to see a value in gold because it's hard to obtain.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with the gold then? Just sit on it and do nothing with it?
It's some shiny fucking metal, and it looks good and it's rare. Like, okay, let's go back in time and say you're Alexander of tribe. Come up with a name,
Right.
whatever. You got like a tribe of 10 people.
Sure.
There's no like structured civilization,
Right.
like at least not like large scale. But you know, there's other families or tribes around. There's ones that are your enemy and ones that are your friends or whatever. Um, and you know, there's trade that goes back and forth between them. And then a fucking meteor hits
Right.
Earth somewhere, and one of your little tribesmen goes and gets the meteor and brings it back to you and cracks open the meteor, and inside is this shiny, it's like you can see the galaxy in it, like this fucking, imagine whatever, the most beautiful rock
Right.
that you can ever imagine in your life. And it's like, hey, should we keep this or you just want me to throw it in the river? Like, what would you do? You'd
Well, obviously you keep it, but it doesn't become currency.
What if it hit and there was like it shattered into a bunch of pieces and you could perhaps sell some of it? Because look, this
I just
came out of a
don't-
fucking meteor,
Right, I
and
get it.
there's nothing else like it. You go around and you show the other families, the other tribes, and you hold it up, and they're like, "Oh wow, we've never fucking seen anything like that before." And you're like, "Hey, starting at $10, hey, blah, 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 blah," and you start doing that.
Okay, so
Because
here's my rebuttal.
people are like,
here's my
"Wow."
rebuttal to this.
People will
In the tribe that you set up, or in the tribe that I would run, if it was a trade based thing, then there would be at no point that something like walks into the equation and then everybody's like, oh, I need to buy that thing. Because here's the thing, the illusion of money is that you have to have it to be taken care of. In a trading system, you're always taken care of. You trade time for something, you trade things for things, and everybody's taken care of. You don't need money to succeed because as a whole the group succeeds.
But people looking precious and having precious looking things is just woven into our nature. Even if it doesn't have an actual tangible use, it's still just because of how rare and unlike the rest of the world around us.
I get what you're saying.
That people would just want it.
I get what you're saying.
So there'd be some other, like, people in those tribes, they'd be putting their hands up, $10, 20 or 20
well, they
shekels
don't have
or whatever.
Money. They don't have money. That's my
whatever
point.
the fuck, loaves of bread, whatever, 5 loaves of bread, 10 loaves of bread. Dude, I got 20 loaves of bread, 20 loaves of bread.
Right.
That
and
shit would so happen over the galaxy stone.
Yeah, and that's literally how our world as a whole became materialistic. Is because we thought we needed things or needed some type of substantial like currency to operate.
Well, sure, yeah, and that's what I mean with gold.
I don't think it's a necessary thing, and things that aren't necessary don't work themselves out completely. But I would just like to think at some point, like, here's my thing. I hate the idea of money. I really do, because it's so nonsense with the way it's manipulated. I mean, just like with this whole GameStop thing, the way things are manipulated is only for people with money to keep money and gain money. And if money went out the window, I'm not saying it would be a perfect world, because you'd still have people in some type of power over top of other people, right? But I just don't like here. Okay, so I guess here's like a question. Like, if I said, okay, Matt, I don't want my gold anymore. Here's 100 ounces of gold. Ooh. And I gave it to you.
Yeah.
What would you do with it?
Probably hold on to it given the situation right now.
And then do what? What's the best case scenario for you with that gold?
In the future, at some point, the price goes up and I sell it, and for whatever currency is actually used at that time.
Right. Yeah, but how much, like, what do you think the return on something like that happens in a lifetime? So you're almost 30. Let's say you have another good 40, maybe 50 years.
Another good 20, 40, 30 years.
No, I said 40, 50. Let's say
Jesus,
you
that's
live
a scary
another
thought.
50 years. Okay, you're 80 years old and you still have this gold.
I don't.
What do you think the price of gold's going to be that makes it worth it?
Well, if it's anything rather than just standing still or being lower, then it's a good situation.
Yeah, but you did nothing. Then see,
But
that's
who
the
says
point
I'm
I
going to
don't
hold
understand.
on to it till I'm 80?
Nobody. I'm just giving you a scenario. That's all. I just don't. Here's my thing. Unless you go out into the wilderness and find gold without putting any money into it, I've never heard anybody be like, "Whoa, I made a ton of money off of gold this week." How many people have you heard that?
Well, gold, that's seen as more of like a safe haven thing.
So you
And takes
invest in
much more
something,
long stretches of time.
right? So you invest in something that'll never give you a return.
Well, like I said, it's more of a safe haven thing. Like if you're scared of fuck of the dollar becoming dog shit, gold is
No.
probably the first thing, one of the first things I think
Right.
of to jump to as
No.
like this might be
Listen,
the new
I'm
currency.
I'm very ignorant about some of this stuff, but I'm mostly just picking on you about this. But this is why I said earlier today, gold and those type of things where are very stable are the type of things you invest in when you have a super high dollar amount to invest in it. Because like $100, you're not going to see much.
Fucking TV just came on by itself. Stupid ad. Sorry, what was that last part?
Because like if you invest a couple $100 in something that fluctuates a couple cents and it's stable, you're never going to see any return on it. But if you can like pump a ton of money into it, you know, and get a ton of shares, then, you know, those couple cents, couple dollar swings are huge.
Yeah,
That's the real
like,
kicker. But
here's my
not
thing.
that I'm a stock expert.
If all of a sudden gold was as common as leaves on trees, no one would really give a fuck
How
about
do you know
it
it's
anymore.
not?
Well, that could happen. Like say there's just some mining expedition and it just gold shoots out like a geyser and just
Right.
coats the whole world in gold. Or someone
So
reads a
gold's the
spell
only
book.
material now.
Yeah, or like let's say some genie comes in here, hey, give you 3 wishes. Oh, everything I touch becomes gold, and now you're King Midas.
Right.
And so pretty soon you're touching your beer, that's gold. You pick up your remote, that's gold. Fuck, and now I can't use it. You go to like hug somebody, they're gold.
Yeah.
And before you know it, there's so much gold everywhere.
Right.
Everyone's like, I'm sick of seeing gold.
Right.
And then
No.
at that point, it's like, who gives a fuck about? I'm
Right.
so sick of seeing it.
Well, see, yeah, and that's why I said I'm picking on you more than anything, because I understand rarity is value. It's always been and always will be. Like in the scenario that a meteor drops into a tribe's lap, someone's probably going to end up and kill someone for that thing, whether it's valuable or not. It's just
ooh, shiny.
Boom. Well, yeah, I mean, it's because it's like the idea that like you need to have it. It's just that material thing where it's like, oh, so and so has it and I don't. I need it.
Yeah.
You know,
if human beings evolved to not give a fuck about shiny things,
Right.
like it just wasn't, seeing a shiny thing didn't trigger some kind of signal in your brain to be like,
Right.
ooh, and get all doughy-eyed.
Now listen, if I was in the woods and I saw a gold nugget sitting in the ground, you better be sure that I'm taking that up and selling that stuff for money or holding on to it, because I'm not retarded. It's not like I'm like son of a, and just like walk on.
Right.
I'll leave you here for the next loser.
Some other like peasant picks it up and like buys himself a really nice house while
Right.
you're living in your
Right.
teepee down in the
No.
valley.
No, gold is like one of those things that like it feels old. Like it's to me it's starting to feel outdated as something, like especially with stuff like Bitcoin coming along, where it's like Bitcoin and like cryptocurrency like scare some people because
It's not a tangible thing.
it's
in your
not a
hand.
tangible thing, which means it's very hard to control, in all honesty. But like if we would switch to like some type of cryptocurrency, some people say it would be safer and easier for people to hold on to the money correctly,
Yeah.
which isn't that scary of a
As much as I keep hearing the words cryptocurrency and Bitcoin lately, I really need to start delving more into it.
right.
It's just one of those things on my to-do list that I haven't got to yet.
Right.
On understanding
And
what the fuck that stuff is.
I'm not saying I understand it 100% or anything, but you know, I read an article where they were talking about Bitcoin and they were saying how it's one of the most secure ways to pay for anything and it's completely untraceable, which is another reason why like big
Untraceable.
governments really don't want that to be a thing, because then they can't see where anybody's money's going.
Ooh.
And that
be
would
nice.
just ruin the system, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Um
Be kind of nice if government stepped the fuck
Right.
off out of our money.
So in that sense, I'd get rid of gold in a heartbeat if we could do that type of stuff and it was legit. Because why? Why wouldn't we?
Mm.
If I could have my money be untraceable and go where I want it to go without anybody knowing, and not like I'm hiring hitmen and I want to hide it, not like that, but just like the actual security of it.
Yeah. The money
You
that
know.
you're smart enough to figure out how to make for yourself, you get to keep and decide what you do with it
Right.
without the king coming in and saying, well, this is for me and this is for these people over here.
Right.
And let's redistribute it all around and to people that are just going to sit on their ass and not do anything, because it's a lot easier to get paid to do nothing than it is to find a job and get paid less.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not, you know, I see both sides to the coin with like the gold thing and crypto and just regular dollar stuff. I get it to a certain extent. Um,
Well,
I just think as like time moves on, you'll see more things creep in to like the market or some type of currency based stuff that really starts to push hard on certain things.
so like, what do you think is going to happen with the US dollar in the coming years? Like, not to pick a number of years, but eventually, like, what do you see happen? Probably. So all it's going to be good for is keeping yourself warm.
I don't know honestly how to answer that like in any like type of fashion that I can articulate. I think like the American dollar has always been like, oh, that's kind of what everything's based off of for some reason, like we're special. The American dollar, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's paper money where everybody's more or less walking around with monopoly money that's
Yeah.
not 100% backed. So it's like, what's the point? I mean, and that's kind of like my other thing with gold. It's like, if, like, and this is where my ignorance will really show, but like, if like the United States is just going to print money and say this piece of paper is worth $1 here,
Yeah.
and then everybody has to honor that, literally everyone in the world. I mean, there are some countries that literally will take American money without the conversion just because it's more valuable,
Right.
you know. So if that's how it is and gold doesn't back half of it, then what's the point in gold? Like, that's where I start to get kind of like, I just don't understand the big whoop of everything. And like I said, I'm very ignorant about it. I'm not pretending like I understand completely, but it's just like, what's the point?
Well, as long as it remains something that's difficult to obtain, and maybe there's some people around that know how to, that have some crafty tools to make it into cute jewelry or something you can wear around your wrist or make a crown for the king.
For the upper echelon.
Yeah. Or so they can make computer chips over at Apple, whatever, at the space station. Yeah, I mean, it's got that kind of value, but I think it just always comes down to like, as long as it's a rare, shiny thing,
Yeah,
people
but
are gonna
I
want
just
it.
mean specifically like in relation to the dollar, like American dollar at that.
Like,
Why is gold such a big deal if like our money is not even backed by gold, or all of it's not even backed?
if our money's not backed by gold.
Yeah, because like I remember growing up where like it was a thing that my parents talked about where like American money was backed by like the gold reserves, and now we're just printing money left and right, and I don't think it's backed by anything. It's just paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, all I can say about that really is we just know they can't print more gold,
Right.
and I don't know how much gold is in the Federal Reserve.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to take a look.
It might be completely empty. $30 trillion in debt.
Right.
What the fuck? That is a
Debt is also see. This is my whole thing with money. What does that mean?
that's a
Nothing.
big number.
It doesn't mean anything.
Well,
no.
someone's got to fit the bill.
Who? We're never gonna pay it off.
Well, I mean,
Ever.
they're gonna tax the fuck out of us probably.
Yeah, but we're never paying it off. They spend more. They spend money way faster than they ever pay it back. Who's paying it back? Ever. The ticker just continues going up. It never reverses.
So do the printers.
Right.
So
So my point is like all of this like money, the dollar amount, even the gold, it's all just someone saying this is what it's worth, okay? And everybody's like, ah.
yeah.
And then we go and live our lives. It doesn't really mean anything. That's my point.
So like, yeah, we know that with like paper currency, it doesn't actually mean anything. Everyone just is playing the game.
Right.
But with gold, I don't think that can happen the
Yeah.
same way it does with the dollar, or I can't see it happening at all.
What do you mean?
Unless like humanity grows beyond the point where we're exploring other planets and mining, and gold just becomes this super duper common fucking thing.
Right. Or unnecessary thing. I think
I can
it'll
see-
be unnecessary before it'll become uncommon.
Like if we fast forward 5,000 years or 10,000 years, and we're just like out there kicking ass in space and discovering other planets, and we discover a planet that basically just is fucking gold.
Right.
That's the whole thing. It's just a gold ball in space. And then it's like
100% practical.
yeah, and then like going to space is a really common, and anyone can take a spaceship flight to Gold Planet, and then everyone's just like, oh, look at all this gold I got, and then you see your neighbor, you see the mailman, and everyone else, like everyone's got gold now. It's like, well, whoop-de-doo. Hey, I'll give you this gold if you give me. No, fuck you. I have that too. Who cares? I can go get more. I didn't take a spaceship.
Right.
But I guess taking the spaceship ride would. I mean, that sounds like a chore. It's not like you can just be to the Gold Planet and back.
Right.
This is just a stupid example.
Right.
But of how gold could just suddenly become as equivalent as toilet paper.
Yeah. I just mean, I think, because like if I'm not, like I wish someone could correct me on the spot, but I'm almost positive like gold is used in electronics because it's the best conductor of electricity.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think that's what it is.
You want to ask the Google?
Hey Google, why is gold used in electronics? Bear with us.
We're listening to the Google. If you can't hear it, just bear with us, okay? Calm the fuck down.
Thank you. So basically, it can wear very well, which means it has longevity, good connectivity for electric. It's corrosion resistant. So basically, as a metal, it's all around really. You want to put it in something you want to last, is what it comes down to.
Could the 3D printer make gold? It'd be Alchemy printer.
Could it make gold?
Alchemy printer.
No.
If you came out, get in there with your hammer and your tape measure and your saw,
Right.
and whatever wires.
What am
you
I
need,
turning into gold?
Whatever.
I mean,
throw my
Alchemy
Blu-ray
started
player
at
in
this.
there and turn that into gold. Piece of shit.
I mean, technically, we could like dip
Oh,
it in
Jesus.
gold, maybe.
Turn
that
That's
off.
Annoying.
No.
I lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
You
Oh,
were wanting me to turn
at the
things into
Alchemy
gold.
printer.
Right.
Just imagine if that was really a thing. Like, what would become of the world and currency in general if there was alchemy printers?
I mean, things would not be of value at all.
Like,
we
and
know
everyone
today.
had one. Like, just
Excuse me, my gosh.
like as much as people have TVs.
I mean, the value of items would drastically drop. Like, you'd be paying people a couple bucks if you didn't have one to do something for you, but that would be it.
What I think would happen is it would become all about territories at that point, because that's the one thing you can't 3D print. Location,
What?
location, location.
I mean, the countries are still around.
People
See,
would.
this is the utopia thing that you build
People-
instantly when you come up with a scenario.
People would 3D print weapons, and they would go to
I
fucking
mean,
war
do-
over land.
You can 3D print a weapon
Because
but-
now everybody, if like you're poor and you're sick of this shit, hey, let's 3D print a rocket launcher. Let's all print 3D print rocket launchers, and we are going to get the land that we want. No one's going to tell us what to do, and if anyone has anything to say about it, you put a rocket through them.
Okay.
Because see, like if suddenly all of a sudden you could 3D print like anything, everyone
Yeah.
had an alchemy printer. We got to be clear, this is an alchemy printer. 3D printers right now, they can't do
They
what this printer can do.
Yeah.
But if everyone all of a sudden, basically in the fucking world has a genie lamp that can give you any item you want.
Okay.
So there's certain things it can't make. It can't make like people, like that's too complex. It can make a fancy ass gold watch. You could throw a flashlight into your alchemy printer, and that's the fuel, and it shits out a gold watch. Could do that.
I don't know what universe this is, but sure, go ahead.
It's a crazy universe. So if everyone had this thing, or these things were accessible, maybe there's just like a community alchemy printer at Walmart. You go in and everyone can just use it.
A community alchemy printer. Oh my god.
Sure,
What is
whatever.
it at the library for kids to use when they need it?
If everyone could just all of a sudden alchemy print and have whatever item or object they wanted, what would happen with the world? The thing that would become rare and valuable that you can't 3D print is like land.
Right. What?
Because that's
But the land is already around.
yeah.
Are we starting in a world where land hasn't been conquered yet?
No. The world as it's evolving today, just now everybody has an alchemy printer.
Then I don't think people are just going to start shooting their neighbors for land.
Well, we have to imagine what the world would look like. Like, what would the government do at that point? They'd be like, oh my God, everyone can just print whatever they want.
Well, most likely it would have been stopped before people got it.
It would be insane because all of the country's enemies could just print like weapons and shit. And all of a sudden,
I mean, they build
because
weapons now.
here's
I
the
just
thing.
don't see a huge difference.
All of a
in what
sudden, the
you're
world
saying.
becomes the Wild West again because everyone can just have unlimited power, basically, with their alchemy printer. It would become the land of lawlessness, and everyone would be just going at it over the best locations. I don't know
still
that.
don't know how
I don't
locations
know
factor into
that
this,
you could
but-
have a stable government society if people could just alchemy 3D print anything they want, anytime, anywhere. I'm the picture I could change my mind on this tomorrow, but what I'm seeing right now is just people being like, what's the valuable
I
thing
mean,
that we gotta have
Let me.
that we can't make?
I'm
with
not
this
trying to make
printer?
fun of you with this, but you do have a tendency to go to just all-out war and apocalypse almost with any scenario, and I really don't understand.
It's
Like,
not that
if-
listen.
listen,
That's
here.
the world, that the universe I like to imagine to start with, because I like to start with the bad news.
Okay, so hear me out. If I have one of these 3D printers in the garage, right, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go start 3D printing like something that I would like. I don't think I just magically are like, I gotta start building rocket launchers. I
No.
think, as always, you're gonna have those crazy people that like even today can buy some really crazy stuff.
You really got to
Like
immerse
tanks,
yourself
you
in
can
this world.
you can buy a tank online legally as an American.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's
Like
not
a working tank,
right.
shoot everything.
I think it has to be like de-armed in a certain way, but
Well, then I can believe.
also don't
I don't
think
see
it
it
would
as
be
that crazy,
super
then.
hard to arm it again.
I don't see it as that crazy because at that point it's just as good as driving around a big fucking bobcat
Yeah,
machine.
but how easy is it to then arm it again?
Well,
It
I don't
wouldn't be that
know.
hard.
I'm not a tank commander.
I mean, someone who's buying a tank probably has some knowledge. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's just some fucking person that wants a tank because they're rich and they don't know what to spend their money on. Nicolas Cage bought like a T-Rex skeleton because he didn't know what to do with his money.
Yeah, because that's
So some
it's
motherfucker
ridiculous.
would buy a tank just because it's a tank and maybe he likes playing Halo Wars or something.
I'm just saying, if I had a 3D printer in the garage, I don't just magically start wanting to take my neighbor's land.
I know it's not
or like
magic.
the hospital is like a good faction point for something that I need now.
I'm not saying
so
like
I blow up half the hospital to take.
if we
the third
snap
floor.
our fingers right now and all of a sudden everyone has access to an Alchemy 3D printer,
right?
I'm not saying you instantly would be like, oh, let me print a gun and go shoot the next person I see. I know
so
it
what are
wouldn't
you
happen
saying
like
then?
that.
Because that's literally how you
I'm
describe
saying
it.
if
The
people
world will burn.
look, if people can have anything the fuck they want,
then all they're going to do is print money and buttholes.
Look, yeah, and then there'd be plenty of people that would be perfectly content just printing out their fun toys that they would just stay in their little hidey holes with, and they would stay out of
I
the
would
whole
say
thing.
that would be 85 to 90%.
It's the same people that are unmotivated today and don't want to get up off the couch. They would
I'm saying people that don't need anything at that point. I'm saying that number skyrockets.
Speaking of points, here's mine. So what you have to do is imagine this world for a minute where you have a magic box that can give you anything you want.
Right.
It can 3D print anything.
Yeah, I get it.
So if you give that like society, civilization, people time to evolve, now having the ability of this magic box to give them whatever they want, suddenly people are eventually going to be like, I want something new. I want to experience something different besides just what this box can give me.
Right, because
it can't 3D print the island of Hawaii for me.
Right.
But I would certainly like to live there. Why can't this goddamn box do that for me? Well, fuck, I'm going to go to Hawaii. Hey, and the Hawaii people are like, yeah, you can't live here. Oh, why not? This box gives me anything I want. Why? And you're going to tell me I can't have anything I want?
So
and they're going to be like, no, that's right. Oh,
crazy.
And then they're going to be like, all right, people, gather around. Who here agrees that this motherfucker over here with all the awesome land, just hogging it for himself, can keep it? I say we have the numbers. There's not many of them on that island. I say we blow the fuck out of them and we move in because we want the ocean view.
Then why don't people do that today?
Because they don't have the Alchemy fucking box.
So wait, what did having the box do for him to get that land? What did he print off? Because you didn't say that. You just said
no. They give him rockets. Him and his followers, the people he can get to agree with him to be like,
so
this
you
is
think
bullshit.
Rockets are the answer.
We're stuck living over here in the fucking ugly part of Montana. Or no, Montana's beautiful. Like the slums over here, wherever. It's like forget Hawaii. That's making it confusing. You're in
because he could just travel to Hawaii.
Well, okay.
And
actually,
with his printed 3D money,
I might change my mind on the whole thing right now because I just thought of something.
Okay, go ahead.
There is enough room on this planet to spread the fuck out.
Sure.
The entire population of this world right now, if you took all 7 billion people, could fit in the smallest country together, like shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
Like they could all fit together in Rhode Island or something.
Okay.
Or Connecticut, for the sake of the argument. So
Rhode Island's pretty small.
Sure, whatever. The point being, and I don't know what the exact fucking measurement is. The point being that you could take all the people in the world and condense them into a small area.
Right.
So there's so much. The point being, there's so much room all over this planet. Most of it inhabitable because of the ocean and also like terrain that's and
uninhabitable or inhabitable.
Most of the world is uninhabitable, but there's still a ton of fucking room to spread out. Go to Texas, go to Nebraska. There's just nothing but wide open spaces.
Sure.
you, your family, and your alchemy box get out to some nice part of fucking Montana that you like. There's a lot of room. Open your alchemy box and make and let it get to work. It will make you a house. It will make you a deck. It will make you a bathtub. It will make you a sextile. It will make you a gold watch. It will give you a water fountain, a toilet, everything. It'll give you books to read because it's your
Right.
alchemy box. It can do that. And then all of a sudden one day you're like, all right, I'm getting sick of this. Let's go somewhere else. And you pick up your box and you go somewhere else. But because at this and there's enough room to spread out so people here's okay, here's how squabbles would start. Let's say you and me both had our alchemy box and there's this spot on this hill that overlooks this lake, and it's
Of course.
it would be we both had
So
like
we
the
both
same.
walk up at the same time with our boxes,
Yes.
silhouette
Yes.
style with the sun.
Well, it doesn't have to be at the same time. You could see me from far off, like
Right.
just loving this spot. Maybe like the shade is just right. It's like near a cave.
Oh,
It's just like, and it has to be this perfect spot because it's the only place this house is going to fit. Like right on that side of this cliff. The view is beautiful. There's no trees in the way. Like it is the perfect
cliff,
spot.
cave.
So that spot, that real estate right there, that
Right.
square of space becomes the currency. It becomes the most rare, valuable thing because to us, not to everybody else. Maybe people don't like that view. Maybe people don't
Right.
want to live
I
there.
get what you're
But
saying
you and
to-
me do.
to a point.
So we, unless we can't work something out, well we're not because what are we going to work out? What are you going to give me? I have an alchemy box. I can make whatever. There's nothing you can give me that I can't already make with my alchemy box.
Right.
So fuck you. You're not going to tell me I can't have this. I was here first.
Okay.
You
so,
can either go find a new spot or be like, fuck that guy. I'm taking that spot.
and then you have.
And
to
then we
kill him.
3D, whoever 3D prints a weapon faster and kills the other guy gets the spot.
I just don't know how it gets to that point. Because
I don't know either. I'm just saying
don't
it could
think
happen.
civilization would crumble to the point. Like, okay, so in your scenario, it doesn't sound like civilization has like that much different. So land would still be purchased to some extent. So if everyone can then make their own stuff, there would have to be some type of currency, or maybe there wouldn't be any type of currency at that point, because if you can 3D print or like print your own whatever, then you wouldn't need it. Well, at that point, there still would and always will be some type of government or governing body, which will most likely
What would they exist to do?
acquire to govern the people. To
Like no, hey, no murder.
well, no, to at least some type of order, and that's where like land stuff would come into play, where it's like, oh yeah, I found a plot of land. Well, did you submit, section 107.2 for the land?
Why don't you use your alchemy box to
know-
print your own 7.12, Mr. Government
No,
Man?
no. You understand what I'm saying? There would be some type of way to.
But why do they get to determine that when everyone is equally as powerful as the next?
That's literally what happens.
Who
with
gets to
this
step in
country
and
now.
be like, I'm the
just as
governor?
powerful as
Who
a
gets to
senator
step in and be
is.
like, I'm the governor? Why? Why you? Because I said so.
It literally is no different than today. That's my point.
Yeah, but the government today has all the soldiers, and they can do whatever they
What
want.
soldiers?
The United
the
States military.
military?
Yeah, that's why you can't tell the government what the fuck to do, because they have the soldiers and they have the law. They
Okay,
pass the
so
laws and the
here's my
soldiers
point.
and the law
Who-
enforcement
Who
enforces
votes
it.
these people in? We do. Over half of America doesn't get off their couch to vote.
I know
and they
that.
don't care. So what I'm saying is, in this new world, over half of America would just settle into their couch again with a new government, and they wouldn't give a shit, while the other 40 some odd percent then says, well, this isn't fair, just like today.
I know that there would
That's
be
my
plenty
point.
of people, and for maybe for a while, people would be perfectly content and happy, just
I also
chilling.
I don't understand how like if you had a box that would give you everything, what about that would make you tired of it to the point where you're like, I have to now move away?
not everybody would get tired of it, but there'd be those groups of people, I imagine, that would.
Like, purists that are like, we don't need the boxes.
Well, fuck those people, right? That's what everyone would say. You're not going to take away my box.
Right.
But my point is, if you know there's somebody living on the beach, you can either be like, well, they got there first and that's their land because they got there first. How else do we determine that?
That's what I'm saying. It would be some type of governmental body that says, oh, this person owns this land or leases this land for now because they got there first and submitted their contract. Or
So it's pretty
something.
much all about just getting places first.
Well, that's what it would be anyway. Even if it was like, if you got to a plot of land before me, you would have an advantage over me in like a battle scenario because maybe you've been at the plot of land, you set up a little cabin, you built some weapons. So it's all about first come, first serve, just like now. I mean, when a house goes up for sale or land goes up for sale now, it's first come, first serve. If you have the means to buy it, you get it first. So I don't think
Well, here's something we
it
got to
just
take
goes
out of the.
back to like medieval dueling, like, haha, we're both kind of here at the same time. Pull out your gun on step 5 and fire.
I don't think that's how Sun Tzu said it in The Art of War. But I don't know. People are pretty dumb in some places throughout history, like
Right.
marching in volleys and all that. Like, what?
Right.
What is that? Out of respect for the king? We're just gonna wear bright red
Marching
and
in
we're gonna
volleys?
march in a straight line in an
Oh.
open field just to get
Sure.
shot in the face.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That was
I don't-
quantity. That was quantity over quality. That's all that was.
I never really understood that.
That's what I'm telling
Like,
you.
why was there this shit? These shit tactics. Like, what the fuck? What was there just like a problem, like a road bump in evolution there, where like soldiers all of a sudden figured like, oh, I know how to do battle.
Well, it wasn't soldiers.
Let's
it would
march
be the
slowly.
commanding officers.
As slow as we can,
No,
in
that's
bright clothes across a field towards
Right.
our enemies, making their targets bigger as we approach them.
no, that was
And after they shoot half of us, we'll take our turn.
that was when there was rules or like terms of engagements that were followed, where it was like,
Yeah, and like
let's bring our armies out. Okay, so you have 10,000 more men than me. Okay, well, we're still doing battle, but I'm probably losing just because of quantity.
yeah, see that's silly. Instead of that bullshit, how about like sneaking around
Well, that's what we
the
do now.
the trees and flanking your enemy? I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not saying we. I'm just saying, why was there this period in time where military tactics were
Such a
retarded?
weird transfer.
What kind of fucking? I just don't get that. I don't get that. Like, who the fuck came up with this idea? Let's have our military march in a straight line towards the enemy in an open field. There's cannons and gunfire coming at our
No.
face, but we're just gonna march right fucking at them and no one fire. Wait till they shoot you first. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Are you still with us? No, you're dead. Oh, you got a hole in your face. Oh, no, you're dead too. Who can still fire their rifle? Aim, fire. Like, what the fuck is this?
I don't know.
I just don't get who sits around and comes up with this nonsense.
Well, I don't think anybody does anymore.
But anyway, that's besides the point. Like, here's another thing or an issue I'm seeing that kind of like takes the fun out of the alchemy box scenario.
Okay,
If
go
anyone
ahead.
can just make like a nuke, it would just all be over right away.
Well, yeah.
So that's no fun.
So
we got to
my-
kind of like
he-
put
he-
restraints on
here's
this thing.
here's my theory on it. If there was an alchemy printer, right, there would be obvious regulations on what it could print. So most likely there wouldn't be any currency based stuff, no weapon based stuff, nothing that would like give you a step over someone else.
Yeah,
Would, like,
everyone would be
it
equal.
would be restricted. So yeah, you can print anything. Like you can print a couch if you want, but you're never going to be able to print a handgun. Like that has to be bought just like old days where the government can track it all. So like that's like if we talked about it seriously, then that's how I think it would go.
Like the government would be like, hey, you can print a couch, but you can't print a handgun.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, no, you're not printing dollars or coins, but you can print that new cell phone you need.
See, this is where like there's a problem. Like this is where I see things just going awry. because
But that's no different than today. It's just a different setup. That's my point.
because if someone comes along that has power over you and is like, you can't do that thing, you're gonna
That's
be
the
like,
government now.
people are gonna be like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway, and people will do that, and then the government has one of two choices. They can either ignore it and just people will continue to do it, or they
Right.
can enforce their law. If they
Which is-
enforce their law and the people that are 3D printing guns are like, hey, you can't stop us from doing this. Oh yes, we can, it's the law. Oh yeah, well here's my law. Boom.
Why all of a sudden is it killing again? I don't understand this.
Because it comes to a boiling point. You can't just have enforcement of law and
Bro.
resistance to law before
Yeah, I
it comes
get
to a
I
flashpoint.
get it. My point is that is literally today. You're just using all we're doing is placing like an imaginary 3D printer in the room and saying this is the cause of it.
Because
But-
it's the great equalizer.
Right. But my point is that's literally what happens every day, all day long today as we sit here speaking. We have the money to buy things we want. Government's like, yeah, sure. Want to go buy a gun? Government's like, oh, you're not doing that without us knowing.
I know, but here's the difference is that when everyone has the 3D printer that gives them equal power, or
It's not equal power. It's like
well, it might be greater power, because then it comes down to numbers.
numbers of
and-
what?
Numbers of people in a collective group forming to go
Yeah,
against.
but that can happen now.
I
The
know.
printer doesn't make it
The-
like,
the print-
special. It just makes it easier, possibly, if you can get by like the printer regulations.
Yeah, but the printer can give you anything you want. And so
No,
the point being that
How did we switch back to that? We just said the printer would have regulations and stuff on it.
it can't give you a nuke,
Yeah,
but that's the
no,
only one
but-
we went over.
No, I said there would be regulations on like currency based stuff, and there would be regulations on like weapons or anything that's gonna like put you ahead somehow in a certain aspect.
But if the government was like, hey, you can't print a weapon with that printer,
Well, they say that now with 3D printers, and people still do it because you can print. I've literally watched an entire video of a guy printing a hand. It was a crude
work-
handgun, and it worked.
it worked.
100%.
Whoa.
It was plastic.
Well, see, this might be the start of something
And you know
crazy.
what happened? He got arrested multiple times because we already have laws in place saying that you cannot manufacture weapons
Yeah, well, here's the
without
thing.
like obvious like stuff.
Here's the thing. The government and people don't always get along. And when the people are able to use this machine to amass armaments, and they're fed up with the government, and then they have this stockpile of weapons that the government's like, hey, you can't have those.
right. I don't know what scenario you're basing this info on.
This is a future where people
This is my
have the power
apocalypse again.
to give themselves whatever they want, and when they're tired of getting everything they want, they're going to
They're
want
gonna
what they
start
can't
killing
have.
the government.
And the person that's like, because everyone would become spoiled rotten at that point.
Everybody's spoiled rotten now.
Well,
That's what that,
some are, some not. But if everyone had a 3D,
yeah,
and
but
we don't know.
It
like,
would be the same scenario. Some people wouldn't get tired of it.
this is a bit of like a
Some
completely
people wouldn't
impossible thing, because we're
Abuse
just
it.
like, this scenario assumes that every person on planet Earth just has this box in their back pocket, basically.
Right, and we're assuming that all of them are going to collectively think the same.
If this was something that hit the market and it was a printer that could print anything, well, what the fuck would happen there? Like, whoever's selling this thing,
Is probably dead at that point because the government killed them.
but people can just then print what? Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's so insane to even imagine. It's like a
Well-
volcano going off and predicting which way the lava's going
That
to
was
fly.
the intro, guys. Welcome to the Alchemy Point podcast.
What are we, an hour in? Oh, well, yeah, we are. I was pretty close. I'm out of coffee.
Sweet.
Is that the end?
I don't know. You want to talk about anything else?
Well, yeah, I guess we like really kind of got stuck on that one for a
I'd
minute.
say rabbit trail, but that was more of like a whole army of 3D printed gun wielding soldiers plowing through a
Yeah,
forest
like,
for the White House.
Yeah, this isn't something you can just put in a sentence. Like there's so many like you'd have to really
Yeah.
boil down
You
what
know-
it is we're
you know who
introducing
you
into
look
this
like right
world.
now. You look like the guy who stormed the
They got me.
Capitol.
That's why I'm wearing this disguise.
This is why this is the conversation. Why are we having this conversation? You set this up,
the only thing I'm missing is a MAGA sweatshirt.
and the stupid horns.
Yeah,
Can't believe we don't got horns somewhere.
I like horns. Leave them the fuck alone. I'm gonna take off these. I'm gonna take off these sunglasses now
What's gonna happen?
and tell you about this world. I've never done this before, by the way.
What
Worn them this long and then taking them off.
you just described that earlier about wearing them a long time and then taking them off.
That was 15 minutes. This is an hour or more than. I've had these on for an hour and 20 minutes ish. I've never. The point
an
is,
hour and 20.
I've had these sunglasses
Take 'em
on
off.
for an hour and 20 minutes, and the world is.
Normal.
That was kind of underwhelming. Well, wait, actually, no, it's kicking in now. Everything is super fucking green and yellow. You look sick. This is nuts, dude. Wow. You got to try this sometime. I'm not just bullshitting for like the sake that the camera's on. This is nuts.
Sure.
Everything is like fucking green. It's really crazy. It's almost like an acid trip or something.
Okay. Hear it
Pretty
now.
cool.
Hear it now. Hear it first here, folks. On the Alchemy Point Productions podcast.
I should put the glasses on the people. Put the glasses on the people and then take it off after an hour and they'll see the world green too. Oh yeah. See people, that's been my vision for the past hour and 20 minutes. Now you keep it like that for that long, take it off and
We'll see what happens.
the whole world just looks like it's been soaked in lemon lime.
Right.
Whoa. I'm getting
Are you gonna be okay here?
I'm getting a pretty amazing kick off this. I'm glad I remembered to take those off while we were recording,
sorry.
just so I can be all like, whoa, about this.
So,
Hey, look. see
how's
what I'm
the day
saying?
treating you?
Scary.
Switch back to yours.
It's so funny. I go to FYE with Heather, my girlfriend.
And you picked those up.
I get 2 movies and she gets 2 movies. I get
Cabin Fever
the
and
2
Salem's
movies I
Lot.
get.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
I always go the wrong way.
And
I
she
get
got
these
Land
2,
Before Time.
and Heather walks out with Land Before Time. So we like take these to the counter, and the
what
guys.
a stark difference.
Yeah, I watched Cabin Fever the other night. What do you think of Eli Roth? Do you like? You've seen Eli Roth movies before, right?
Can you name a couple?
He did like those Hostel movies, which that were
Oh,
like the torture porns, and he
yeah.
did the Green Inferno, and
Yeah, I think
he's like a real exploitative gore.
I think he has like a
boobs
vision
and tits
with his
kind of
stuff.
guy. I admire the dude actually. Like, I'm not a big fan really. I don't get a hard on for his
Well, that
movies
was
when they come
very
out.
Confusing. It's 2 sentences.
What's that?
I admire the dude. I don't really like the guy.
No, I didn't say I didn't like him. I admire the guy, but I'm not like
Oh, a huge fan.
I'm not a fan of his movies. Here's the thing. I don't get a boner over his movies.
Right. Makes
But,
sense.
Like I know exactly like every once in a while I just want pure, as I call it, junk food for my brain.
Right.
Like
You
I
just
know
wanna veg out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some ridiculous.
Yeah, I get it.
Don't have to think at all. It's just people running around screaming, and it's
Right.
just some, stupid, scary, dumb, fun plot. The characters are a bunch of, who the fuck are they people?
Right.
And it's just fun, and like there's a lot of indie art that goes into it, and it's just
Yeah.
like you get that people just running around the woods with the camera, just
Right.
making like a slasher thing or just some crazy shit, whatever, for fun because it's the style.
Yeah.
But that's like what you're getting with him, and like he does it with enthusiasm, and that's like at least that's there. Like he's always trying to make a good movie, even if like you don't like the movie,
Right.
and it's not a lot of people's flavor. It's not really mine. Like
Yeah.
I love horror movies. It's like my favorite genre.
Right.
But like this style of horror is not going to be like the one I'm thinking about. Like if I want to watch a horror movie, I don't think of Eli Roth first.
Right.
But there is a place for an Eli Roth movie,
Right.
and I think the dude like could find his way even better over time. Like if he just keeps plugging
Going
away,
at
I
it,
think like
yeah.
he's capable of a masterpiece, maybe possibly, but in its own kind of grindhousey way.
Right. In his lane.
Yeah. Good like this was like a fun B movie, The Cabin Fever, even though it was like so fucking stupid and made no sense, and there was characters in it that were so annoying.
Right.
Um and the acting was like atrocious at times, just like
Right.
unbearable. But it was like there was a charm to all of it,
Yeah.
just because of how enthusiastically and passionately it's done. It's just like
Right.
yeah, we're doing this kind of attitude you feel in it. Um, so yeah, that's I guess what I have to say about that
Yeah. That makes sense.
movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's this part in this movie, and people that have seen Cabin Fever will know what I mean. And by the way, there's been like I looked this movie up on IMDb after I watched it, and I saw there was a Cabin Fever 2 and like
Oh,
a
yeah.
3 and like a prequel and a TV show. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know this fucking movie had enough
All by
milk in
him?
it. No, I don't think he was involved with any of
Oh.
the other ones. He just made
He
this
just
movie,
launched it.
and it
launched
had
the
like I guess such a
trilogy.
strong cult following.
Right.
Because I read this the other day. Peter Jackson is such a Eli Roth fan.
Yeah.
Like he made that movie Dead Alive,
Mhm.
where remember that scene where the guy has a lawnmower and he's walking through the zombies.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just a bloodbath movie.
Yeah.
Well, Peter Jackson, like he made that, so he has a special place in his heart for that kind of stuff. So
Right.
he like halted filming on Lord of the Rings Return of the King when Cabin Fever came out. This was 2002. And it's like, everyone stop. We're taking a break and we're watching Cabin Fever.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
It's the best fucking movie in the world.
Oh my God.
Everybody just sit down.
Everybody, we're gonna have fun today.
Oh, we're like really behind schedule, Mr. Jackson.
Doesn't matter.
It's like, yeah, this is an endless project anyway, okay? We've been
Right.
like, give yourself a break. We've been
at this
working
for
on
like
this forever.
8 years.
Yeah, I
whatever it
want to
was.
kill myself at this point. Let me watch Cabin Fever. Okay,
Right.
everybody, shut up. Stop bothering me.
You know, I saw something the other day that I forgot to tell you, and I just thought this was like super interesting. The guy who played Sauron or Saruman,
Christopher Lee.
the White Wizard, right? When they, I think, freak, was it Lord of the Rings? Something else. He got his head chopped off, or somebody else got his head chopped off in Lord of the Rings. I don't remember. But anyway, Peter Jackson and him were like trying to discuss the noise like he should make or the person should make. And
When he gets his head chopped off.
yeah, Christopher Lee's like, do you know what noise someone makes when they get their head chopped off? And Peter Jackson's like, no. And he's like, because I do. And he was at the last beheading in France.
No
He was
shit.
like a young kid
That's
in the
awesome.
last beheading France did. So he like in that scene actually replicated the noise he heard from someone literally getting their head chopped off in real life. And I was like, that is like such a like, can you imagine Peter Jackson? Like I imagine Peter Jackson as just kind of like a fun-loving guy. He just, and anything I've ever seen him, he's just like, let's just do this, guys.
Yeah, he looks like a big teddy bear.
Yeah, and I mean, he has like a vision to his stuff. So not that he can't be like decisive, but he just seems fun loving, and I'm sure he's just like, yeah, tell me what noise would they make, and he's just like, I've seen it. As a boy, I watched the guillotine drop, and then Peter's like, oh, okay, yeah,
Ugh,
gross.
It turns me on.
Yeah. Tell me again.
Well, whoever that was that got their head chopped off in France, if only they knew that
R.I.P.
their legacy would live on through Christopher Lee getting killed in Lord of the Rings, screaming like Street Fighter.
Yeah!
Is that the sound they make?
I don't.
as a geyser of blood shoots out of their neck. Oh, that was the
that it?
best use of that.
Was that it?
Not
Was that the
exactly,
noise?
but
You want to try once?
that was loud. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah. I mean,
Apologize for your ears. No, fuck you all. I don't care. I hurt my own ears.
it was worth it, right?
Oh, I don't know. Not for myself. No.
That's how you die. This is how when you get stabbed.
No, here's the GoldenEye noise. If you're playing GoldenEye N64.
That's our performance for tonight.
They actually have like in that game, every time you shoot a guard, like it's there's a pattern to it. Like a person is supposed to scream a certain way after they just screamed. I'm describing this in a horrible way.
Yeah, there's a pattern.
Yeah, like you won't hear someone go ooh ooh twice in a row because it's
it's like a sequence.
Yeah.
Of,
so
of
like
noises.
I think what I just did there was like pretty accurate because I heard it so many times in my life. You machine gun enough guys in GoldenEye.
Right, you're like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like a ringtone
that's
in your
an
head.
interesting topic. Did you see that thing I sent you on Messenger about
Oh.
the Xbox remake?
I did see that you sent it, but I was gonna watch it later, but then I forgot
There's
I had it.
I don't know if it's like the full game, but there's like a large run through of the game, and it looks so similar, but just like gently updated graphics.
Yeah, I saw another
Because
clip
like
recently of
64 to like the original Xbox wasn't like. I mean, I know it was a jump in graphics, but it wasn't like that big of a jump. So like the N64, like his shoulders are like this, like just points,
sharp ass shoulders,
and like Xbox, it's like, it's just a little bit more of a rounded edge, and they could do a little bit more. Stuff looks a little cleaner, but that would have been really interesting if it was released.
Yeah, why did it not get released?
I don't remember what the article said. Just have to look it up. It was just canned for some reason.
I really just want to see like an updated version of a lot of these classic games. I mean, would that really be so hard to do? I mean, I know in
Say
some
that again.
capacities there's remasters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But there's just some like old like retro classics. Like we're not asking you to change the gameplay or the level design or the costume design. Just like sharpen it up.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Ocarina of Time is getting a remastered, and apparently it looks awesome.
Ooh. What's that coming out on? Nintendo something?
Yes.
Does Sony have the rights? Does Xbox have the rights?
Zelda games.
It didn't jump over, did it?
No. I did hear there was an article about. Okay, remember that Mario game I showed you inside that it's 3 different games? It's like Super Mario Sunshine, Mario 3D, and like Mario 64 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So apparently someone, I don't remember if they got like leaked word from Nintendo, but like someone made a comment, I think at some point, where it was like basically understood that they're working on a version of that, but for Zelda games. And it's supposed to be like 3 Zelda games packaged together, like the old school ones. I'm telling you right now, if they release a remastered or just release Wind Waker on Switch, I'm buying it just for that.
That was your
I
special
loved
one.
that game. Yeah,
Wind
it was
Waker.
so much fun. Just because it was I loved it so much because it was so different.
How
because
was it different? I never
I
played
mean,
that
you're
one.
literally on a boat in like the ocean traveling to islands. And
Is that the Toon Link one?
The what?
Where you're Toon Link?
Toon Link?
Yeah, where you're like a cartoon looking Link.
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're all cartoon looking Links. I'm not sure.
There's Link and there's Toon Link. There's a big. You would know.
Oh, well then, yeah, maybe it is that one then.
Okay, he looks like a fucking emoji or something, basically.
I'll show you.
He looks like a Wii.
Maybe
like a Wii U doll or avatar, whatever the fuck they're called.
The Wind Waker.
The only Zelda game I've ever played was Ocarina of Time. I bought Majora's Mask after I beat Ocarina, but then I never played it
Here's some of the pictures for it.
just because those games are such an investment, and I'm not like really big on sword games.
What game?
I mean, I used to watch my brother play Ocarina of Time, but I never played it myself until I was like 20,
Yeah.
and I
I
beat it, and then I never got to Majora's Mask because I was like
what was the most recent one that just got released? It was remastered.
Breath of the Wild.
No. It was a remastered one. It
Oh.
was Legend of Zelda.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, but
Twilight Princess.
No. There's an owl on the island,
Oh, that fucking owl.
and you gotta release the fish from the giant egg or whatever it is.
You gotta
I
get
don't
that egg
remember.
out of that fish, or
But-
that fish out of that egg.
But it's a remastered version of the game, but it's still in that like 2D platform where you're looking over top of Link, like the old school games.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's remastered, so it's like really clean. But there is like an ability to play the old game like exactly how it was. And to be honest, I kind of don't. Not that I hate the looks, but like I don't love the looks of those old games. It feels so constricting, and even like the 3D version of the same thing feels better.
Hmm.
But Dragon Quest, the game that I was playing that I had told you about before, that also has an old school 2D version of it. I just think it's cool when games do that, when it's like the same feel, it's just updated graphics or looks, or maybe gently updated mechanics and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting time to be living because unlike previous generations, they didn't have like a nostalgia for video games, but now we do.
right,
And there's a demand there. So if someone
Yeah.
would get crack-a-lacking
oh yeah,
on these remasters that we want to see, I mean, we're there to buy them. Do you hear me? Hear me.
hear me.
We want Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 remastered, updated graphics. They'll look so good. It won't hurt my eyes so bad when I play them on a 65-inch screen TV. Thank you. I hope they got the message. Do something valuable with your time.
Yeah, I'm always one. I still haven't beat that Dragon Quest game. I need to do that before it gets taken off of Xbox Game Pass. But I love a game that I feel like I can get lost in.
Those like sandbox games, particularly, or do you
with-
prefer like the linear, like it gives you a
Um,
path to go?
I like the path. I don't mind like some side missions, but like it's like GTA. Maybe not GTA is not a great example.
Because like I really love like Resident Evil games, like well, certain ones. Other ones are a pain in the motherfucking
Right.
ass. But like Resident Evil 4, like that's more or less like gives you a path to go, but
Right.
you can backtrace across certain parts or discover secret
Right.
areas. Like I dig that. Like at least give me secret areas.
Right. So you played Red Dead 2, right?
Yeah.
So my biggest issue with that game was it started to feel a little too real. Like it was like, oh, let's go to this wild area. Okay, grab your horse and let's go. And then you're on the road for like what seems like 5 minutes, like getting to this place.
Oh, you didn't like
And it's like,
the journey took too long.
well, it starts to feel a little less like a game and more like I just have to go complete this task. Like you can't get lost in it, in a sense, to me, when it's just like too grand
Huh.
of an open world. That's that's just for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love open world games.
Well, like with those games, like I think it's kind of cool to get really immersed, like because it makes you actually journey through to get to these missions, you have to travel through the world, and it sometimes takes 10, 15 fucking minutes to get there. In Red Dead 2, I don't know if they have an option to just skip the trip.
They may.
I know in GTA games you could just like call a taxi and press a button to skip it or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I guess like a lot of people would be into that sort of thing of just because the Wild West and just all that open frontier shit is there.
Oh, I get the
is their
appeal for
cup
the
of tea.
game. Yeah.
But like I didn't find it intuitive enough to have a reason to go out there in the middle of nowhere. Like, what am I gonna just carve up alligators and shoot arrows through rabbits? Like, I'd rather do something else with my time.
Right.
There's no task to be had out in the middle of this. Although it's like incredibly like impressive, like what they were able to create. I'm just, for me personally, there's not enough to keep me out there.
Right.
And yeah, it's like pretty to look at, and it's cool to do missions there, but
yeah, I mean, I think my thing is like,
if it was like a virtual
it
reality
just
thing, that'd be
becomes
a little different.
too much. So like I guess here's my thing. Like in real life, we have tasks we have to do every day, whether it be go to work or pick up the kids, deal with, just name it. Just name the slew of things everybody has to deal with. And then you finally get a chance. You're like, oh man, I've got like 45 minutes to an hour. I can sit down and just like veg out and play a game, right?
Right.
And then you load up that game, and then the first thing you have to do is like tasks to, like, every game you have to do tasks, right? But like when you're in that open world setting, all of a sudden the length of time like traveling back and forth from these things because they want it uber realistic, like I don't really want to play a game that's going to take me 20 minutes to travel to two places and waste literally half of my game playing time.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather play a semi or more linear game where I can run down a couple paths, and yeah, kind of like you said, there's some offshoots, but it's not like I have the ability to go other places, but it's very evident like where the story leads me.
Right.
I
don't like to go where there's not other people around that I can't antagonize, because I love like what I enjoy most about that game. Like the story was
Red
cool, the characters were cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved the game, loved the experience, but like the thing that never got old was just walking around town dressed like a fucking cocksucker with like a top hat and a monocle and like a fancy twirly mustache, and just like antagonizing poor people or something, like, who let the simpletons out of the asylum,
Right.
and just getting in fights with it, like fist fights, and then getting the police on me, like just like in GTA, like
when I started playing that game, I only played that game a handful of times, but Doug and I created Indian characters, and TJ created like super redneck cowboy. But Doug and I as Indians was all would always just lasso random white people and pull them behind the horse and say all kinds of awful, nasty, racist things.
And then put them on.
I will admit.
And then put them on the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Like, this is for our ancestors.
Yeah, this is how we take revenge,
right,
for those sins 400 years ago.
And I'm not saying that game was bad. I think the game was absolutely brilliant, but there's just like this like border. There's just like a line in the sand for me where it just becomes like, oh man, this is an open world game. It's fun, and you feel like you can complete tasks in like a timely manner. And then it's like, oh, this is an open world game, but I need 2 hours to do this task.
Yeah.
And like for some people that makes sense. It's just like, maybe it's because I don't have 2 hours anymore to sit and play games all the time. And maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm just, I'm an old fart now, and I was just like, I don't got time for that silly stuff.
Not yet.
But yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, if I had an hour to do something, I really don't want to like start a mission that's going to take me 2 hours to complete and stop halfway through.
Right.
It's just kind of like, eh.
This is kind of like with some like movies, I pop them in because I want to be in that universe again.
Right.
And if I just get this desire to be amidst this universe again, this Red Dead world,
Right.
I love the Wild West. I think I want to travel around it a little bit. Maybe I don't want to watch Tombstone today. Maybe I want to actually have some control here.
Right.
And so you play a few missions and get immersed in it. And if you're me, you are traveling down a path. There's another guy coming towards you on the same path on his horse, and
Right.
you push the button to greet them. Howdy, neighbor, or howdy, partner. If they don't say anything back, we have a problem.
You're dead.
We have an instant
Right.
quarrel
Yeah, because that game and
because
it's
then I
like,
start antagonizing them at that
it's
point.
because that game and like even GTA, you're just allowed to let what normally would never happen out.
Yeah.
It's like, in GTA, you've stopped at a stop sign for some stupid random reason, and there's just that lady like, "Hey, asshole,
Yeah.
watch out!"
And
And
she's
you're
just
like,
giving you
"I
an
just
excuse.
stopped at a stop sign." Okay, took care of her.
Right.
Like you'd never do that in real
Yeah.
life.
Or you can blow past a cop at like 120
Right.
miles an hour and they won't do anything unless you like, but if you back into them at like 2 miles an hour, they'll get out and shoot you.
Right, it's over.
Yeah. Like I wish they would make a GTA game where instead of putting so much energy and focus onto let's make a really big fucking city,
Right.
I wish they would just hone it in
Well,
to like behavior, like AI behavior.
then you're not gonna like the new one coming out because
So,
apparently it's bigger
whatever.
than all the other maps combined.
That's cool. I'm not saying I'm against that.
No, wait,
That's cool.
It was all the maps combined,
That's pretty dope.
which would be awesome.
And I am really excited to see that. I'm just saying, like, I would love to see a GTA game where instead of like for the next project, we've already made the biggest fucking city ever. How about for the next one, we make a smaller play area, but like the rules in this are much more real life,
It's legit.
like
yeah.
much more sophisticated. Like,
Right. Well, I would hope naturally they do that, but
yeah, and also like a big point on that is be able to go in every building. Smaller map, but you can go in every building, every floor, and like every building has like say you walk into an office building and there's
Right.
somebody there and you pick up the printer and throw it at somebody's face.
right.
Like I would like that to play out how it actually would in the real world if I drove over there to the square and went into those office buildings and bashed someone on the head with a printer and just stood there. I want to see what would happen. Okay, the police would show up, people would freak out.
Right.
There'd be a lot of like, holy shit, this guy, what do you do that? Because in the real world, no one would just walk into an office and bash someone with a printer over the head.
Well,
I mean, they
there
could,
have been weirder things,
but
I think.
I just would like to see the actual, like, they really dial in the behavior of the way people panic
Right.
and the way emergency services respond to things or law enforcement deals with things, like in the way it would actually go down.
Right.
Like if I don't stop at a stop sign, whoop, whoop, they're coming
Right.
after you. And they start like pull over, but they don't understand why you won't pull over.
Right.
And then
It's like if yeah, that would actually be pretty fun.
or you go on the sidewalk and you just start spinning in circles like
Right.
an idiot for no reason, and people are like, "What the fuck's wrong with him?"
Right. You get like pulled over, and instead of just immediately pulling their gun and shooting at you, they like walk up to the car and try to discuss something with you.
Yeah, and you
then
can
have
respond back.
You have the option just to sit and then like take a fine, which would be like just losing your money,
Yeah,
or you could fight or run.
But
That would be cool.
they would actually like they would write a ticket and be like, you have a court date, and you actually
don't
in the
know
game
about
you have to
that,
show up, but of course you wouldn't show up. But that's where the ridiculous
see,
fun is.
that's the part where you're taking it too
I
into
know-
realism. But
I know, but it would just be funny if like they
see, I would be
literally
completely
gave you a fucking
fine
court
if you
date.
like had to sit there for the cop to be like, "Oh, you shouldn't have been doing that. You ran that stop sign, or you were speeding," and like $200 gets deducted out of your cash.
right, like yeah,
Like
for the sake of the
that would be
game.
cool.
Yeah, for the sake of the game, yeah, they'd have to hone in some things.
You better remember on April 17th
I'm just
at
saying,
2 p.m. You better see me in court, boy.
yeah, and if you actually go to court and everything and do what you
It
got to
become-
accept your
have
sentence.
You ever played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney?
No,
You're literally an attorney trying to like prove people guilty in court cases. It's It's really fun.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that sounds like something I would love.
But I have the Switch trilogy. If you want,
Prove
ever
that
wanna
they're
play it.
guilty. Can you play the other side
no.
and be the
no,
lawyer?
because you're Phoenix.
Oh, I would fuck up so bad on purpose if I was the lawyer. I would just like
Well, you
mess
get,
up their
like-
case so bad.
So in that game, that's what it reminded me of. Like it would be like a GTA version of that, where it's like, so like the judge will be like, "All right, the first witness," and of course the first witness is like, "Oh, I was there that day. It was horrible." And they're like, "All right, tell us your story." And your job in the game is to find discrepancies in the story. So it'll be like 10 speech bubbles that they say throughout the whole story. And you go scroll through each speech bubble, and then you have to object to whichever speech bubble with evidence that you gathered or stuff you remember is wrong. And it'll be like, objection. And then the judge is like, "Oh, really? Oh, tell us why." And then if you can't prove it wrong or it's the wrong speech bubble, he'll be like, "Oh, Phoenix,
You're in
don't
contempt.
don't test me." And then it's like 1 out of your 3 strikes are gone. And then if you do that 3 times,
Yeah.
you lose the whole court case.
I'd like to see you in my chambers.
But yeah,
I'll be bringing my gavel with me.
a GTA version of that would be quite funny to
Yeah,
experience.
they could do all this.
I actually
ridiculous
bought that
shit.
at MagFest. I bought the Japanese version of the game, hoping that would be English subtitles at least. And then when I loaded it up, it had an English version of the game option. And I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Or you could just play the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Just to see how that goes. We played Japanese Mario parties for those Mario Party nights.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when the mini game thing comes up and it's like random selector, you don't know which one it landed
Wait, do you
on.
actually have a Japanese version of the game, or is it a selection?
No, it's
like
a
a-
Japanese version of the game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and what's hilarious is in Mario Party 1 and 2, or maybe just 1, or all 3, who the fuck knows? I don't know. But Luigi and Wario in the Japanese version, if something bad happens to them, like Boo robs them, they'll
Right.
go, "Oh my god!" Wario says it like, "Oh my god," and Luigi says it like a complete puss cake, like, "Oh my god," and like he's crying and he falls on the ground.
That's hilarious.
But then the American one, they changed Wario's to say, "No, I missed," which who the fuck says
Of
that?
course, because there was some like mom that was like, "You will not put oh
Yeah.
my god
Yeah.
into this game."
Like, hey guys, do you know what this means in America? Like, it's kind of offensive. We can't say that. This is like a
Japanese,
kids
like-
game. Yeah, can't say, "Oh my god." Well, I thought that's what Americans say when like
Yeah.
something bad happens.
All the
What-
the board members are like,
Yeah.
"That's literally what all of the Americans that have been here say."
What I don't get though is like, I get like if someone's like, "We got to change it." Like I can see that happening, but who the fuck's like, "Let's change it to no, I missed."
Right.
If you're out there on the
It must
street
have been a lip thing.
and someone robs you, what's your response going to be? "Oh, I missed."
Oh, I missed. Oh my god.
They'll be like, "Okay, crazy guy, I'll see. I'm gonna rob you next week," and you'll miss again.
Seems about right.
Yeah, but anywho,
Well,
I kind of veered off the main travel path on that. We were talking about GTA, and I talked about Mario Party for a second, but whatever.
well, it's okay.
That's what it's all about. We're just kind of going where we go.
I think this would be a good place to end it because we're about at an hour and 40 minutes. And
Oh yeah,
we have talked a gauntlet of stuff once again.
yeah. There's a lot of
mostly
words
being
per minute.
gold.
Yeah, well, we're really into the stock market all of a sudden, as are all of you,
Since
because of game
since
stuff.
America
Yeah.
decided to pull a fast one on
Yeah,
the
it's
hedge
always like
funds.
one of those things. Like my whole life, I've been interested in doing, but never actually pulled the trigger on doing it or trying it until recently. And
Right.
it's like, okay, yeah, I can see where if I just sharpen my skills up a little bit and pick
Yeah.
some. I don't want to start talking about the stock market. I'll never fucking go
That'll
to
be the
sleep tonight.
the stonk market episode.
Yeah, the stonk. This
Um,
coffee ran out an hour ago.
But like always, if you enjoyed any of this, let us know. Subscribe. Go to Anchor, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah.
all the stuff.
Yeah, do
Just tell us you like us. That's what we live off of. We're basically social media vampires. If we
Give me
don't
my
get love,
dopamine. Give
if
it to me, please.
if we don't get love, we'll end up
dopamine me.
in bed for days on time.
Pump me
on
full of
end.
dopamine.
Yeah, you can
Please.
tell we're both tired. We haven't. Oh, that's something I didn't mention. We haven't podcasted in like 2 weeks, so maybe we'll be more consistent about it since all the nonsense.
Oh yeah,
of
we'll get there.
the holiday and whatnot.
We're
has went over.
working our way to a more consistent lifestyle.
But until then,
Bye. Thanks. Everything he said, all that stuff. He went down the list. Goodbye.
You ran a shit. What you need to
Him next tonight.
you know, freaking no, what's this thing? But I've had it half on this house.
You're out to your cash, you're out to